Hey Nick, it's fantastic having you on the team. You're obviously very passionate about alternatives, or I think as we say in the game, alts.
Yep.
Yeah, can you take us through why did you take this position at Wilson Asset Management?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Geoff. I'm really excited to be here, and the reason I took the position was really twofold. Firstly, the high quality nature of the WMA portfolio that's been built, and also, and the second piece there is the growth from here, the runway for growth. I think there was really two phases when we took the portfolio on from Blue Sky some years ago. There was the first phase around sort of repositioning and revitalising the portfolio. That's been done. And the second stage is all about growth, and that's what I'm here to deliver on, and I'm excited to be here.
You're very passionate about alts.
Yes.
Just take me through, where does that passion come from?
Where does it come from? Yep.
Yep.
It's sort of all I know. So I'm sort of the opposite of you in the sense all I've ever done is alts, and so I'm passionate about it because institutional investors have had access to alternatives for decades, and what I'm really passionate about and excited about is the fact that all investors, retail investors, wholesale investors, and institutional investors can now access a institutional quality portfolio through WMA, right? So we're making something that was previously available to everyone in the market, and I think that's what really excites me.
Can you just take me through your experience?
Yeah, sure. So I've sort of spent the better part of 15 years doing alternatives research across the asset classes that WMA invests in, so private equity, real estate, infrastructure, agriculture and water, and finally private debt. And we see opportunities across the board, across all those asset classes. And I guess my specific skill set is really about identifying investment partners who've carved out a particular niche in an asset class or sector, and working with them to deliver great risk-adjusted returns to investors and ultimately our shareholders. And that investment process, it's pretty rigorous when we work with these investment partners to analyse strategies, and we've actually recently published our investment process on the website, so our shareholders can see the rigour that goes into that process to work with the very best in the industry, and that's how we construct WMA.
In terms of the portfolio that's there, just take me through, are you happy with the portfolio? And maybe we'll do that, and then we can talk about growth a little later.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I am. I think, and that was part of the attraction of joining, right, was the high quality nature of the portfolio. There's only about 10% of the portfolio that's left in those legacy assets, and they're sort of slowly coming back. But the new assets that are in the portfolio are true sort of institutional quality assets. You could ask any sort of institutional investor in the market and look at the portfolio, and they all sort of say the same thing. They go, that's a really high quality portfolio, right? And so, of course, there's some tweaks I want to make to the portfolio. We've got a small allocation to private debt in the portfolio, so looking at some opportunities there, although very wary of some of the cracks that are potentially appearing there, but we do think there could be some interesting opportunities. And there's some tweaks here and there in the other asset classes, but largely the portfolio is in really, really good shape, and that's why I think it's sort of primed for growth from here.
Where do you see the growth coming from?
Yeah, sure. So I think the private equity portfolio is the largest part of the portfolio. Relative to the other asset classes, there's some really good opportunities coming there where, this year we're expecting to see a tick up in transaction activity and deal flow. And so that should bode really well for WMA because we're going to see some exits hopefully come through on the private equity portfolio from our investment partners. And I think those exits will be important to provide some evidence and proof to our shareholders about what we're building with WMA. Some of these things do take time, right? And our investors have been patient, and so seeing those exits start to come through will be important, and we're aware of one of those that's due to come through before the end of June. And let's not forget, we've had 12 exits in the portfolio already since we've been managing it, and those have averaged out at a 35% premium to NTA.
Switching gears now, I'm aware that there's been some sort of pivotal life experiences or experience you've had, just to allow shareholders to get to know you a little bit better. Do you mind sort of sharing what that was? Or?
Yeah, absolutely, Geoff. So I actually lost my wife to cancer back in 2020 after a 15-month battle with a pretty rare cancer. We had a little 12-month-old boy at the time. He's now 7, and so as you can imagine, that was That was a pretty challenging and difficult period in my life. But once you sort of move forward through those periods and come out the other side, I do believe there's a real sort of richness to life when you've experienced such tragedy. And I think it's probably taught me three key things that I hold with me each and every day. The first being I think I'm more empathetic, which makes me a better listener. I'm a big believer that we all have a story, and it's important that we share those stories so that we can learn from each other. I'm more resilient. The little things don't tend to faze me as much anymore. I often give
it's all pretty irrelevant.
Exactly, absolutely, and it's funny how your perspective changes too, right? Like I often give the analogy. I don't know why I used to, whenever it rained and I was wearing a suit, I hated it because the smell of wet wool really, I don't know why, but it really annoyed. So it would rain and I could smell wet wool. Now when it rains, I think I don't need to water the garden.
Very good.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't think I would have thought like that had I not necessarily experienced something like this, but you just view life very, very differently. And I think you don't take things for granted, right? And that's really, really important. I'm always out there looking for the rainbows and butterflies to sort of recenter myself and remember what's most important in life.
And how's the little fella? So
he's good. He's 7 now, and I've got another one who's 3. So 2 little boys that are monsters at times, but they're good fun. They're very good fun. They keep you young, which is nice.
Look, thanks very much, Nick. We really enjoyed getting to know you a bit more today. Is there any particular messages you'd like to leave the shareholders with?
Look, just to say I'm really excited to be here and to take WMA to the next level and importantly engage with all of our shareholders out there who've trusted us to manage this portfolio on their behalf. So I'm really excited about the future.
Fantastic. Hey, and we are excited too.
Thanks, Geoff. Cheers, mate.